This is a time when the Indian Prime Minister is at the BRICS summit. All these space agencies in different parts of the country putting out congratulatory messages must be making you feel very proud as a scientist.
Yeah, actually, you know, it gives a very good business plan also. You have a very good head start when you are going for a new space policy and you are going to, you know, you are aiming for taming the global space economy. So it gives you a very good head start that right now, see, this is the deliverables that we can offer. This is the confidence that we have. We already told the world that we are 100% confident about the soft landing part. So Somnath sir has, you know, he was saying it that what may ever happen, our systems are so solid and they have been tested so well on the ground that we are going to have very safe soft landing, and then we have delivered that. And if you were following that trajectory part, it was just the copybook thing. It was like we never went a single pixel away in that trajectory. It was every pinpoint to the point where we were supposed to be. When we were supposed to be at 800 meters and we were supposed to be hovering, we were there. So, you know, if you see India as a collaborative space program in the beginning, we started like that. We started our journey with the help of USA, with Soviets, French were helping us. So everyone was helping us to find our ground.
Have we left them behind, you think, the French and some of the European powers, or where do they stand?
Not really. No. Not really. You see, what happened, he's right. In the initial phases, we did take the help when we were building satellites, as well as even the Vikas engine.
Where do they compare with us right now?
Oh, they are streets ahead, but where we have...
The French?
Because they're part of the European Space Agency. We used to use their spacecraft, Ariane, lifter launcher for a long time to put our INSAT satellites over there because we didn't have the launch capability. Over a period of time, we have developed indigenous capability to do that. Now, what has happened is Isro has a niche. And what is that niche? The niche is our ability to make low-cost launchers as well as satellites. There's a huge need for that. So what happens is the big boys in the space so far, whether it's the Americans, earlier the Soviets, now Russia, as well as European Space Agency, they used to make these giant sort of launchers as well as put multiple very heavy satellites that were there. But a lot of countries wanted smaller satellites like we use for telecom or for navigation or for remote sensing. ISRO's specialization is its ability, as you said earlier in the program, to build these things. Even the Chandrayaan 3 estimated to cost 615 crores. Something like this done elsewhere would be three times the cost.
Somak Rai Chaudhary, speak for a moment about the lunar economy, the space economy, and the kind of competitive advantages in terms of reliability and in terms of cost efficiencies that the Indian space program offers the world.
Well, I mean, people often don't realize that, you know, you can go from the Earth to the Moon in many different ways. And you saw how we did this. It took much longer than other missions, and it went in an elliptical orbit that expanded around the Earth, then moved over to the Moon and contracted, etc. All that was part of the economy of the project. It was also a very elaborate process in which safety was ensured in many places. So it's a safe method as well as a very, very economic method. So this was one way of showing that we can do it in a different way. And certainly there are economies in the system in India because of the labor and materials, etc. as well. And in the end, we made this happen at a cost that's less than a Bollywood, one of the expensive Bollywood movies. So this shows the world. Again, I was talking about how India aspires to be a major player in the global economy, space economy, that is, and to show that we can build things that are successful as well as cheap and economic is wonderful, because that is a boost to not just the industry, Indian industry, but the technological innovations that have gone into them to make this in an economic way of doing things. Now, this also means that this is not a monolithic mission. It's made up of very, very different parts. Even the landing you saw had 4 or 5 very different things mixed in it. And any one of them could be useful in other missions that other countries or other private agencies want to adopt. And so the modules, the economy of the modules, the design of these modules were also seen by the world in this case. And so this is one way of advertising the way India can do this. And then one also sees in this, we saw this in a big way, the people behind the mission. And you can see that the number of people who are involved in this, the way the broadcasts were made, you could see these people coming together as a group and working together. This kind of aspect of Indian science and technology, even the common people haven't seen how science works, how teamwork works. And this also shows the world that there are teams that can work in this way to make
Manish,
these
tell
very,
those
very...
who are watching at this time about the other projects at ISRO which are in the pipeline near fruition, which we should be looking out for in the months and years to come.
So in the months to come, in days to come, we have Aditya L1. We are going to go 15 lakh kilometers away from the Earth towards the Sun. We are going to study the Sun. We are going to get to a point that it will take us around 120 days of journey. We will reach a point called Lagrange 1 point, which is 15 lakh kilometers away from the Earth. There we will be going around in a hollow orbit, studying the Sun. So it's a very, very big mission from India's part. Apart from that, on 31st of August, this 31st, we are going to test a few segments of our Gaganyaan module. So these are the things that are happening right now. Apart from that, we have already, on the privatization part, the space policy part, we have already started the technology transfer for our launch vehicles and satellite designs. That initial stages have been taken steps. You know why all this thing is important? Because we are regarded as a frugal space agency which achieves big. And that's a big promise that we put on the table when we talk to the people around. Our PSLV, it came very late to us. The first successful flight was in 1990s. Before that, we were dependent even for 1000 kg class satellite to other people, other spacefarers who were providing their launch vehicles. But then gradually the LEO, low Earth orbit market is huge, and our PSLV and our launch vehicle Mark III, they have huge capabilities that we can capture that particular segment of the industry, and that is where the most of the whole the whole effort is right now in the low Earth orbit thing.
Okay, I want to show you two images on your screen right now. The first really about where things started from and where things have reached now. In the beginning, that's the rocket in the very initial days, a very small pool of scientists, barely any funding. This is how it started under the leadership of Vikram Sarabhai, the ISRO rocket there being carried, and now with the GSLV and the landing of the Chandrayaan on the surface of the moon. Fascinating images, Raj, about where we started off from in terms of just how basic things were at that time to where things have reached now.
Well, Rahul, I've been privileged to go through all that. I've actually watched a lot of these launches, starting from the ASLV program, PSLV, GSLV, seeing how the rockets went, seeing how the satellites are built. And I think that's the strength of ISRO. What it has done is it's come up the hard way. It has decided that it would master all these technologies, believe in self-reliance. Others were not willing to sell it. They could share the technology too, but not really transfer it fully. And so ISRO has, over a period of time, and very importantly, since the lander is named after Vikram Sarabhai believed to do all this was not just the boys having fun. He believed that space was a vital component of development of India. So everything that the Indian Space Research Organization did, the mission and the vision that was there, was to support India's development. So if you look at what does that translate to? One is in terms of remote sensing satellites. So if you have to map all the minerals, including crops, you build a satellite for that. India's doing that. Telecommunications, which all of us are using. India built those satellites. You take a look at remote sensing and navigation satellites. We've been doing all that. Military requirements, we're doing that. So India's space program is not a white elephant kind of a program. It is rooted deeply in India's development, and what we are seeing now is the next big step, the big leap that we're looking at when we're doing interplanetary space explorations like Mangalyaan, or even doing the moon mission, and now aiming further for the sun.
Because it's so special and so powerful, I want to call those two images back on the screen again. The first one is the ISRO preparing for the launch of its first ever launch vehicle, the SLV-3, which is total of 22 meters long, all solid, 4-stage vehicle weighing 17 tons. And it's being carried over there in individual parts, rockets being carried for assembly.
And if I'm not mistaken, possibly, I don't see, but APJ Abdul Kalam was around at that time. He was project director of SLV-3, and they really did it frugally. I mean, it was an incredible effort.
How are we so much cheaper than the rest of the world?
Because that's how it runs into the blood. See, when we started, the very first thing, the very first constraint that we had was about the resources. So when you have that kind of a beginning, so it was like we knew that we have to deliver big. Our inset, if we break that down, it was, it is written there that inset technology is like 4 big technologies of communication satellite, geosatellite, and observation satellites clubbed into a single one. That's how they have kept in mind that when you have a limitation on the budget, then you are not doing it that we want to be very cheap, we want to be the one who can do it in the smallest possible price. No, it's just like our approach is that way. Most of the things we do indigenously, and most of the things when we are doing it, so we believe in that part that, okay, we don't have to go big on our budgets, that we don't need to be, if you want to be successful, you don't have to be very big on the budgets, because that's how our beginning has been.
And I'd just like to add what Mayank said, because I've observed these scientists, and that's why I think we need to laud them. They worked in conditions and salaries and houses, which, were really very, very, let's say, frugal. And I do remember, they used to put long hours. You would see these scientists voluntarily coming and spending the night to build these systems. And if you walked into any of these places, as I have done, any of the laboratories, they're state of the art. You could be proud of that. And the way they've worked at that cutting-edge technology, satellite technology, I mean, we are up there with the best. Launch vehicles, yes, we've got one of the heaviest ones, but of course we do need to build, as Dr. Rajan said earlier in this program, much more bigger and heavier lift vehicles if we have to sort of match the big boys.
As I wrap up just this part of the broadcast, Manish, what should people expect next? This Pragyan coming out, how many hours would it be till the dust settles and the Pragyan rover comes out?
That part right now expected to be, it can run from few hours to 6-7 hours. Totally depends on how quickly
So the night is young. The moon is out, the night is young.
And the best part about it is when it will be going out, that moment will be captured. It will be shown us back on Earth. Pragyan coming out and going on its way, it will be captured.
Getting a red carpet welcome. What do you get on the moon?
Well, in this case, regular carpet.
or a dusty welcome. A dusty welcome.
A charged one.
Yeah,
electrically charged.
Hopefully the dust would have settled and the Pragyan would come out to the moon.
I think it has the Indian flag on it.
Yeah, and the wheels have national emblem and Isro's
so
logo.
does just coming back to that controversy, or going back to Neil Armstrong, will the flag flutter or it'll just stay?
I mean, it's long since been decided.
No, there is no air on moon.
So it'll just flop, it'll just be like the flag.
All those wrinkles.
Unless you blow it.
See, gravity is also not that strong, so it had a latch system. So if you see the wrinkles and all that thing, quite possible given the environment.
If you want a little bit of I actually interviewed Buzz Aldrin, the second man to walk after Neil Armstrong, and I asked him how does it feel to be on the moon? What does it feel like? And he said, one, the sun really shines brightly over there because there is no atmosphere to block the sun. Second, your shadow behind is pretty long and it has a halo, so you feel like a saint out there when you're doing it.
Fascinating.